Demonstrations are a way for government citizens to express their grievances and push for change. Considering a few current events, you might be wondering, what are the largest protests that have happened in history? Welcome to Mela Talks. I'm Winston Melakor, and today I'll be talking about just that, the largest protests ever in the world. In June 2020, the Indian Parliament introduced 3 bills meant to loosen some government rules regarding farm produce. They became law the following September. However, millions of farmers in India criticized the new laws, seeing them as weakening support for their livelihoods, such as a minimum support price paid when important crops are produced. They also feared losing out to large corporations. So these farmers began mass protesting for the repeal of the laws and for MSP protections, especially camping around the city of New Delhi. By November, over 250 million Indians were protesting. The protests led the Indian Supreme Court to put the 3 laws under panel review in January 2021. But the protesters did not back down from their demands. During a Republic Day parade around the same time, some farmers stormed the Red Fort in Delhi and clashed with police, leading to the injury of more than 300 officers. Meanwhile, police and government officers had used water cannons, tear gas, and internet shutdowns to disperse protesters. Their actions drew criticism from human rights organizations. The relentlessness of a protest led Prime Minister Narendra Modi to repeal the laws in November 2021, with protesters agreeing to go home the following month. To this day, farmers still hold several demands to the Indian government, including guaranteed MSP protections. In 2002, US President George W. Bush claimed that Iraq and its leader, Saddam Hussein, were producing weapons of mass destruction in violation of United Nations resolutions. He also claimed Saddam allied with Al-Qaeda, the terrorist group that caused the 9/11 attacks. With the United Kingdom in agreement, Bush argued that an invasion of Iraq was necessary. But other countries, including France and Germany, wanted patience and a more diplomatic solution. Not only that, millions of people in about 600 cities around the world protested against Bush's plans for invasion. Anti-war groups in many different countries had coordinated a global day of protest for February 15, 2003. Rome saw the largest demonstration, with an estimated 3 million people taking part. Meanwhile, up to 2 million people marched against the potential war in London, making the protest the largest ever in the British capital's history. In Spain, Madrid saw 1.5 million protesters, while Barcelona had 1.3 million. And in New York City, about 100,000 rallied near the UN headquarters. In total, as many as 15 million people worldwide protested against American plans to invade Iraq. Despite this enormous turnout, the United States, joined by the UK, Australia, and Poland, sent troops to Iraq on March 20th, starting the Iraq War. By the war's end in 2011, a few thousand soldiers, as well as over 100,000 Iraqi civilians, were killed. In the 1980s, China experienced a period of economic growth and cultural exchange fostered by diplomatic and trade relations with the United States. But student activists in China also sought democratization and political reform and an end to inflation and corruption. Hu Yaobang, the general secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, sympathized with the activists. Party hardliners, seeing him as a threat, removed him from power in 1987. After Hu died on April 15, 1989, tens of thousands of student protesters gathered across China, but especially in Tiananmen Square in Beijing, to raise their demands. The Chinese government's first response to the protest was to do nothing but warn the protesters. On May 15th, Mikhail Gorbachev, leader of the Soviet Union, made a state visit to China. Western journalists reporting on the visit also brought to global attention the demonstration in Tiananmen Square, which by then had grown to about 1 million protesters, students and workers, city dwellers and farmers alike. Meanwhile, party officials debated on how to handle the protests. Although moderates like the new General Secretary, Zhao Ziyang, tried negotiating with the protesters, hardliners like Li Peng overruled them and sought to forcibly suppress the protests. So on May 20th, the Chinese government declared martial law in Beijing. Soldiers attempted to retake Tiananmen Square, but were blocked by masses of protesters. Then on June 3rd, the government sent war troops, this time with tanks, to Tiananmen Square. The mass demonstration was forcibly dispersed the following day. Chinese officials' death counts from the incident are between 200 and 300, but most other sources estimate several times the number of deaths, perhaps in the thousands. In China, the CCP censors references to the protest and massacre and bans commemoration of the events of June 4th to this day.